Morton-Gattullo, and welcome to another edition of Warehouse 34. And today I have one of my favorite human beings on the face of the earth, who is like a brother from another mother, Ralphie Dee.
Hello again, darling. How are you?
I'm wonderful because you are here. You
that's
are
very nice.
Not only a huge person in my life, one of my dearest friends that I've had the pleasure of knowing since I'm 12. And I choose you to be, because I don't have a brother, I choose you to be my brother because...
From another mother.
That's
yes,
right. Because you are so special to me.
Oh, thank you very much. You're very special to me as well.
Oh, I love you. I want everybody to know I met you when I was 12.
Yeah, just it sounds kind of...
Creepy now,
creepy,
as an adult, but not.
Yeah. Get film in there.
Okay, so when I was 12, I was taken to go to places, and they had to turn around, and it was more of like a collection experience, but whatever. So I was at a nightclub at 12 before it opened, and the owner covered my eyes when I had to walk by a certain part of the bar because it was, operating at that point.
Yes.
And they put me in the DJ booth. And I met you and Joey Viola.
Yes.
And you didn't know I was 12.
I had no idea.
And you were teenagers basically yourselves.
I was 15 when I started. Yeah, I was a couple of years older than you, so.
Yeah, but it seemed like light years.
Yeah.
15 and 12 are.
Yeah.
And you guys were doing your sound check and setting up and everything else in the DJ booth at 2001 Odyssey.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how that moment would impact the rest of my life. It was an experience, bar none, that I had never even imagined could happen. You had your crates of records, you had an upright piano, both of you had huge personalities, and then the lights went down, and the music started playing, and you started screaming. Do you remember the accordion gate? Yeah. Close the gate, close the gate, close the gate. I didn't know what you meant. And I just figured it out in time. And I closed it just as the girls descended on your DJ booth and threw themselves up against the accordion gate. And I could not believe the rush. It was like Black Friday sale for like Louboutins being given away for $5. Yeah. The girls jumped all over your DJ booth. And they pressed every part of their body up against those accordion gates. And I sat there going, holy shit, this is amazing.
Yeah, that was something. That's... to think about it now, it's just like, wow, man.
I couldn't... so tell everybody about that time.
Well, we were all kids. And it was a matter of just being in the right place at the right time. I found myself in the middle of this, the disco era, the disco boom, which, I'm still in high school here. And I came from a small little bar. That story was a whole other story in it, but I ended up working there as a backup DJ. And Chuck, rest in peace, the owner's son, would come in less and less at that time. And after Saturday Night Fever conquered the whole world, everybody and their mother came to the club, and it was just a matter of being on that roller coaster, which at that point we were on the top, and it was just starting to go, and down meaning good, and it was just, when you're in high school and you're just out of junior high school, the kids on your block, your cousin's friends, this one next door, this one's daughter, can I bring my granddaughter, can I bring this? And it was so overwhelming at the time. I really didn't have a chance to blink, but yet we were having so much fun because we couldn't believe that we were actually in that position. Two young Brooklyn kids. We were kids and thrust into this thing. It was just, it was mind-boggling or mind-bending, to put it lightly.
The place was just so wild, and everybody wanted to be there. Saturday Night Fever had filmed on my block, and they rented out a house of a friend of mine, in the girls' bedroom was the bedroom of John Travolta with the posters and doing his hair and everything else. And the crew and everybody involved with the movie, including all the actors, were so nice to all the neighborhood kids. So they filmed on my corner and then down the block and all over Bay Ridge. But their filming of 2001 Odyssey really brought a whole new level of like, oh my goodness, that nightclub was propelled into the stratosphere.
Sure.
Everybody wanted to be there.
Sure.
Everybody wanted to see it. Everyone wanted to experience it. It was insane in the membrane, let's just say. It was an amazing time. And to see you in that space, I'll never forget. I didn't know how to dance. I was, again, 12. I didn't know how to do a lot of that stuff. I didn't wear heels yet. I didn't have the right, clothes or anything like that. And Joey bring me out on the dance floor, and the light-up dance floor that, was so iconic, and trying to teach me how to hustle, which, as you know, I still can't hustle. I'm horrible at it. I'm like a freestyle freak. But
I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah, no, I can't hustle. It's like, because I don't understand that whole, like, I have to do what you tell me to do.
Right.
I do my thing here, you do your thing
and
there.
after a while, I guess you get it. But I was
never got it.
I was never a dancer either. I was just the person who supplied the music for the people to dance. But getting back to what you're saying, it was, at that time, everybody, the whole culture was coming out of like rock and roll, Led Zeppelin, kind of. Remember Urt shoes?
Yes, I had them.
Urt shoes and like bomber jackets, and it got into the fabric of the culture, and it just changed everything. The next day, people had haircuts, and they had the shoes, they had the polyester pants, they had the thing, and everybody wanted to look cool. I remember that, and that's what I really miss.
And good.
Yes, you went and spent a lot of money on your clothes because you knew you were going out on a Friday or Saturday night. You wanted to look your best, and that's what I missed about it. I missed the three-piece suit. I used to love three-piece suits, and that was there was so many facets of it. It was the music, it was the look, it was the talk, it was the car you drove, it was all that stuff together.
Yes. I mean, how important, the defining factors of what group of cars, and they all hung out together. So if you were the Caddy crew, you hung out. If you were the Lincoln crew, if you were, whatever, going all the way around. And I remember going back to see you guys on Friday nights, and Joey saying, no, you can't have shoes like this, or you can't have these clothes. And meeting me at the farm.
Yeah, Farm, 86th Street, Benson.
And I had to take like 3 buses to get there because I still didn't say I was 12. And I met him, and he bought me my first pair of Buffalo shoes.
Buffalo shoes.
Powder blue Buffalo shoes, and taught me how to walk in them.
Yeah, that's right. They were hard to walk in them shoes.
Yes, because, again,
Buffalo
especially when
shoes.
you're 12 and your ankles aren't used to these things. And he turned around and taught me how to walk in them and bought me flare bell-bottom jeans and pants, and then brought me over to something else. And
something else, right?
Yeah.
That was like a
Fashion Corral and
Crazy
Crazy Horse, all those places, and showed me where I needed to go buy all of my clothes. It was insane. And then I had the proper, outfits to go
you had
and
to
show
look
up.
the part. Right.
Absolutely. And again, nobody could tell I was 12 until like whatever.
A little makeup on, we'll listen and start to see that. Okay.
Oh my gosh, Fiorucci,
You blend right in.
candy shoes.
Candy shoes.
So much fun, with the Porsche Carrera sunglasses, just everything about it. It was just
It was
a
a
great
total.
time. Guys smelled great.
Yeah.
They looked
You know how
great.
much cologne they sold back then?
Oh, Dracar Noir. Remember that?
Dracar.
Yep.
Aramis.
Yep.
Pierre Cardin.
Paco Rabanne.
Damn, Paco Rabanne, yeah.
Yep, it was
I
a
missed those
time.
days. That was great.
Now, at that point, though, it was, you guys were like really carrying in crates of records. It was an experience just to DJ.
Yeah, but what was good back then, later on, when I moved around in other places, usually I would carry crates of records, but in Odyssey, we used to leave them there because no one, the place was always locked up. I think they had a dog in there. They had a Doberman Pinscher tonight. Nobody would even think of breaking in there. But later on, just carrying the crates of records, thinking about it now, my back hurts. But you know, vinyl was different, everything was different. It was turntables and all that, but yet, again, it's just part of the culture, and again, it was magical moments. It was great.
Put yourself back as that 16-year-old kid in the middle of 2001 Odyssey, watching this whole thing explode.
Wow.
Would you have ever thought that your life would have been so impacted by that experience and taken you to
not.
the levels of success that you've reached?
Well, first of all, a lot of people don't realize when that movie came out, the time while they were doing the filming and everything, I had no idea who John Travolta was. Welcome Back, Carter, I heard of it, but I finally got to see what it was when I saw it was on the cover of TV Guide. Remember the old TV Guides?
Yeah, sure.
My brother had a lunchbox that said Sweat Hogs on there. But, you know, when I had met him, I realized his hair was long. When I looked, his hair was really short, and he was a nice guy. We had a couple of talks about his accent and all of that. And from that point on, nobody knew what the impact would be from that movie. And then all of a sudden, it was just like the next, after the premiere, they had the premiere there, and that was December 16th. I got all this in my head. December 16th, 1977 was a Saturday night. The following Friday, you couldn't get anywhere near the place. So it only lasted, believe it or not, for 2 years. But if you take every Friday and Saturday for 2 years, then you got all the other nights that came up with this. We went out 7 nights a week.
We did.
7 nights a week. So if it wasn't Odyssey, it was 231. If it wasn't there, it was Long Island, it was Staten Island, all over the place. So from that point on, I went into New York radio, WKTU. They gave me a show. I did that up until, let me see, 79 to like 80.
And we used to listen to you, and it was competing between you and Joe Causey and another friend when we would go to Manhattan Beach and lay down on the tinfoil.
Yeah, you know what, you brought some,
Yeah, and roast ourselves with iodine and baby oil.
Yes, and what would happen was I would do, they would do lunch mixes on a Wednesday, and the tape, they were already pre-recorded tapes, and I would, you know, they would come by the Odyssey on the weekend with the promoters to bring records, and I would give them the tapes, and I'll never forget, like the first time I was on KTU was like, I have the actual recording of, I think it was G. Keith Alexander, one of the DJs saying, okay, it's 87 degrees out, I'm gonna be hot today, it's this here, and then they would announce me, Ralphie Dee for 2001 Odyssey, and I remember the first time walking onto the beach on a Wednesday. Back then, the summertime, we were kids, we were in school, out of school at the time. And there was, the whole beach was one radio. Everybody had this on, and I just, wow, it's like, wow.
We used to do dance contests on the boardwalk.
Dance contests, all the girls
music.
to wear their heels and makeup.
Yes.
Oh, it was unbelievable. And you go from the beach days, then there was the, which we can't forget, it's part of history, the disco backlash, because it became so huge.
Yeah.
So huge to the point where the corporate America squeezed every last drop out of it, and it became to the point where everybody just goes and rebuttals it. And what happens is disco becomes a dirty word. So now you had that little bit of like a new wave thing in the 80s, and then the next club I went to was Hadar 2 in Staten Island, and it wasn't called disco anymore. The music was called dance music, but by that time, the whole generation, our generation of people from 18 to like 25, going out 7 nights a week. So those clubs in Staten Island, there was Hadar's, there was Blossoms, Scarlet's, Park Villa. Oh, there was so many of them. And the next break I got was I didn't realize it. I thought when you're young and you don't realize what you're doing, you're just having fun. And I wish I was smarter. But anyway, I realized in the early 80s that I wanted to do more than DJ. I wanted to do something with music. And the first thing to do would have been, the next step up would be to create the music or be in a recording studio to tell an engineer, because at that time you weren't allowed to touch anything in a studio. You know, okay, I want this song for this amount of time on tape, edit it, add this instrument, do that, and it was called doing a mix. And the big break came when myself and two friends of mine, Tommy Musto, Tommy Sozzi, rest in peace, did this thing for Tommy Boy Records, which was huge. And the music had changed now. It was into this kind of electro music. And we got a chance to mix all these big records that came out on that label. And that was another high point in my life, which was really good. And then we go through the 80s, and most of the 80s after that, you know, I worked in a lot of great clubs. I remember the Promotions, Club B.
Oh, please.
And then
so much fun. Come on.
Oh my God. It was like, it was still disco. The culture was still there. The people were still in the culture, but now getting the traction underneath me, having worked in different places and being recognized as a DJ now, where if a club would open, they would call me and I would do the opening, and then usually either was a guest spot or sometimes I would stay there. And I would stay till the club was good, and then another club would happen and this and that. But there were rules back then, which we won't get into right now. But then the next big thing in the 80s for me was the original Pastels. And if anybody knows the history of Brooklyn and all the clubs in Brooklyn, 2001 Odyssey was the Saturday Night Fever place, but Pastels was the club, the most successful club in the history of Brooklyn.
And it rivaled a lot of city clubs, although they were extraordinary, and you know, the light shows or whatever. But Pastels was consistently crowded with lines up until 2 o'clock in the morning, with people waiting to get in. And it was written up in GQ. And after that, then the lines wrapped around the block, as opposed to down the block. They were wrapped around the block. And
how amazing
everything
was that?
that they did at Pastels, from every employee, they were all on point. They were all the best of the best.
Those guys knew
the best of the
how
best
to
of the
run
best. Yes.
a place. They were the most successful. They knew what you drank. The bartenders knew. It was so many people working in sync, and it worked because that place was, God knows how many years it was Pastels. And then when it changed the name at the time, for another 18 years, it was Legacy, I believe, after that.
Right, there was Capri, Legacy.
Amazing. Yeah, that was great. And Pastels was the last really big club I worked, and then I got another break that came. I started, friends of mine were starting to do music. Now, not just mixing. Now, actually, recording studios had changed. And now, if you had engineering experience, it was like mixing records, but now you were mixing sounds. So naturally, people that I knew, I've kind of like flocked to that. And a friend of mine, Tommy Musto, again.
I love Tommy. I had Tommy on the show already.
Great guy. Yes, great
love
guy.
Him.
I owe a lot to him. He taught me the ropes about recording studios and
I have to say,
stuff like that.
all of your friends that I made friends with because of you are all really, really nice guys. I love all of your friends, and they were all so nice to me.
Well, of course. I mean, I'm not going to surround myself with people. See, what happens in this business, you surround yourself with certain people. Some people you want to be around, and some people you don't want to be around, but you don't really care because you don't really bother to look. But then you start to weed out, you know, there are certain people that are with you so they can get into the club for nothing, or they can drink for nothing, or because we knew a lot of people and we knew certain types of situations they would want to be around. And then it kind of weeds... They kind of weed themselves out, but there was a lot of outsiders that tried to get into like a circle, and the only people that I stood with and worked around were people that I knew I could trust, and you know, those were the people that took me to the next level when I started to do records now, produce records for labels in New York, which later on, you know, now are staples for the beginning of house music in New York, which was, you know, again, you know, right place, right time. And I did these couple of tracks, we call them tracks, and they had come out, and they really didn't do anything here, but in Europe, they were huge, especially in England. In England, a couple of them got to the Record Mirror charts, which was like the Billboard here.
Right.
And once these people found out that I was a DJ, they invited me over to England to play. Now, I had never been to England. I had never been anywhere out of the United States. But other friends of mine, Tommy again, Lenny D, Frankie Bones, Victor Simonelli was in the group like right after me.
All great guys. All great guys.
We all followed in that footsteps, in that footprint. And then I started to DJ all over England, like in 1990. And then the break started coming. I did another track with Anthony Menino.
Love him.
Anthony, great guy. We right place, right time, right, whatever it was. It became a worldwide smash, except, of course, for the U.S. And once people found out that I was a part of that, now I started getting booked to Holland, Germany, Italy, all over Western Europe. And that was my life. I made records during the week, and on the weekends I was on a plane flying somewhere to DJ somewhere else, and then come back and make more records or do remixes for other people. And that was a really, really good time. I really enjoyed that because back then there was maybe, I would say roughly 50 DJs, 50 well-known world-traveling DJs at the time. Between now, there's got to be 500,000 DJs out there, but the people that do what I did back then now, the number is astronomical. Everything happens faster. Now you make music in your house. You don't need a lot of other people to do it. You need to know a computer, but you still need to know music. Right. And that was it. And then that was probably the height of my entire career was the 90s. And then,
some of the records that you worked on were really with really big, well-known artists.
Yeah.
Because I remember this all.
Again, but...
and you always downplayed it. You were like,
no. On a scale between people who have really worked on records like Jelly Bean, who I admire because he was the one in the forefront that actually started a DJ being a artist and working with artists, and he's worked with everybody at that time. He has stayed a nice guy. Besides being creative and a genius, absolutely,
he's always stayed a nice guy.
Yes, I never really got a chance to work with any like really huge big artists. A couple of things, but that didn't bother me. It was just a matter of I was doing what I liked, and it was my life. I didn't have to like work a regular job and stuff. And now. Remember those fax finders, the things before computers, and everything was written down. Studio session for this day, 3 days for that. Fly here, do this, then come mix this thing. Go to Italy, find it, mix with this, work with this artist, and I ended up. I don't know. I would say now probably about somewhere around 150 records, and that's really depending on what sample size you look at, but that was a very, very, very important time for me because I kind of cemented what I had done in that time. What I had done, we had helped change a lot of music, help invent some music styles that never existed before, and it was just like another stepping stone to doing something positive with my life, which I still can't believe I still do. But that was the catalyst. Am I saying that?
You're still in the game though, and
absolutely. Without a doubt. And besides just stopping in 1999 when my son Matthew was born, I just took a couple of years off really to be a father and a family guy and do that, and worked on Wall Street for a while, and I couldn't stand. Oh my God, sitting in an office, even though friends of mine, this is a whole other story I'm not going to get into, but just working in corporate America, it just wasn't for me, and I looked for opportunities just to dabble on the side, doing things like this and like that.
Well, it was in your bones from a young age.
Yeah. Once you do that, it's again, I was able to sustain it for all that time. So it always there's that feeling of creating. Like if you're a writer, you like to write. You're always going to like to write unless you find something else for your passion. It's just like a passion, just like anything else. And I've been blessed. Would I do it again the same way? Absolutely not. I would change everything because I look back at what I did, in the front. If you look at it and read about it and see it and hear it, it looks great. But there was a lot of stuff that was going on. Like a lot of it was a blur. I never had, I say this all the time, I never had a mentor. I never had nobody to say, Ralph, this is great. Okay, you got to do this next. No, I did it myself.
But all of you at that point were creating something real and being involved in the beginning parts of something so new.
Right, it was new.
Really,
Yeah.
who could have mentored you in that?
Right. You know what? There were people that either were in the music business before that knew about working with artists and things like that to say, you know what, Ralph, you mixed this record, you did this record for this label. You know, you should have somebody or hire somebody to go to all these labels and tell them, this is the work that I do. Why don't you let him do work this way? If there was, I don't know, 100 labels.
But did you get credit on all the records?
Oh yeah. I got all the credit, but it just it happened in spurts. And what I tried to do was, I was very content on what I was doing. I was very content. Going overseas was like a big thing because at that time, what DJs went overseas? It was a handful. I'm talking to him maybe 10 the most that were going overseas. And back then, I'm coming baback with magazines with my pictures in it on the front.
I remember.
And people were looking and going like, what the heck? What is this? What do you mean there's 20,000 people? Yeah, a rave. What's a rave? It's a collection of people, 20,000, 10,000, 5,000. And it was all documented. All the pictures were taken and it was all in magazines. And then it became more commercialized and then the next generation came in and started doing that, and then I moved on, and at that time I had started a family, but I went back in the mid 2000s was when I went back, and at that point, I had to basically redraft everything, but what kept me relevant was what I did. What I did was documented. It was the birth of the internet. They had everything that was that I did. There's a page, a website called Distogs, and it's anybody who's anybody in the music business. I'm not John Lennon or Paul McCartney. I'm just talking about in the dance music era at the time. Right. When you collect a bunch of titles, they would do a discography of everything that you've done. You could go to a website, click on a thing, and my name will come up. And every single record that I did is documented with the picture, how long it is, the producers, the people who sang on it. And that's good. And I noticed, nobody could take anything away, so that's good. And that was something to look back when I'm not here years from now.
I saw that on your Wikipedia page because I was clicking
on
things.
Yeah.
Because you've got a slamming Wikipedia page too.
Yeah. And again, a lot of it comes from where I came from and what I did, and it would always take me to the next phase. Because I did this, I can do this. And because I did this and this, I can do this third thing, and fourth and fifth. And what happens is, though, now the game has changed quite a bit. I'm still in it. I had to adapt to it. Mm-hmm. Now it's not only do you need to make records now, which are obviously digital downloads, you have to know social media. And that's a whole other animal because you have to promote yourself. And at the point when I realized and started learning and seeing all these other people, getting social media, I'm like, I don't have the time to do this, but I fooled myself. I did have the time because I have a video background, audio editing background. I have background in a lot of applications like Photoshop, I know. Things are all media tools to how to make videos. So I said, wait a minute, I could do this. Instead, I got to hire somebody. And I would start doing things, putting them together. And I went on a trip this summer, which kind of also changed a lot and kind of opened my eyes up to what's going on today. I went to Ibiza. And
Did you go see Lenny?
I was actually I saw Lenny Fontana in England. Of course, that was my next stop. I went from Ibiza to England, but I met Victor in Ibiza.
Oh my God,
we got there.
yes.
Yeah, it was great. Oh, it was great.
Ibiza's
And I had never
party
been there.
town,
Yes,
boy.
I had
Oh
never
my
been
gosh.
there, and what I saw, what I thought I was going to see, and what I actually saw, and what I thought I was going to do, how I thought I was going to act, and how I acted to what I saw were like night and day. But it was a very important trip because it kind of brought me to the forefront of that is the dance capital of the world. So if
Ibiza?
if you play in Ibiza, I mean, there's like 4 or 5 clubs which you would have to see. I mean, you can read about it, there's videos, but there are clubs like Amnesia and High and places that that I actually went to a beach club where there's, oh my God, there had to be 5,000 people.
Wow.
At this beach. You're on the sand with the umbrellas and all of that, and then they have all the bottle service, which it was called Tanit Beach Club. And you would think now, okay, all the music is all brand new music you never heard. It's not. It's all people within there in this particular party. People from 35 to 70. It blew my mind. And all they're playing is all house music from like 1980, because in Europe and in England, the music is generational. So the music, the kids that went out in the late 80s, their younger brothers and sisters catch the same wave, and then as the kids' generation, it's all generational, and it all connects. So the music I was hearing, I was like, man, it's just all this music. It's just, wow. And I could have went somewhere else where I ended up going, where you would hear like newer music and stuff like that. But Ibiza, there's something for everybody. And it was amazing. The weather was great. Just the atmosphere. And I met some people who were the nicest people that showed me around. Jeff Jefferson, who I gotta mention. He's an old-time promoter from Ibiza from the 80s.
Wow.
And he took me everywhere. And every place we went, people stopped and went out of their way to talk to this guy. And he introduced me to so many people, which I was, it takes a lot to impress me. And this guy, he impressed the hell out of me. And Ibiza now, the after effects of Ibiza, I'm in the middle of working now. I have a bunch of different record labels. And I put...
What's the name of your record labels?
I have 4 of them now. And what I do is, the reason why there are 4, I try to concentrate on 2 genres, but I have to break them down into different categories, because some labels that are run by I have a publisher. There a lot of music today, if you're really music savvy and you listen, a lot of music that does really well are samples of older music, but it's got to be done correctly. And when you sample other people's music, the bigger it gets, you run into publishing problems, which is, most of the times it's not a problem, because if someone's going to call me and say, hey, listen, you use a sample of mine, which means the track got really, really big for this person to hear it. Right. So you're not going to collect publishing from it, which is the royalties, like when it sells. Selling $1.99 per download, comparing to like a $5 or $4 at the time to buy like a 12-inch record. It only becomes big when you either get something into like a movie or a commercial or something like that, and that's happened. I've seen it happen, and having that known, I started another label which is kind of sample oriented, but when I do things like that, I try to kind of like disguise it and make it where I'm not just taking somebody's thing, plopping it there, here it is, oh, I know what that is. I try to change it up a bit, make it friendly, make it different. But I know what it is, but it sounds different. This is good. And I usually get a good reaction of it. And then, like I said, the other labels are run by my publisher, which is more straightforward, me playing and creating and not using sample stuff. But today it's there's a record. Oh God, I keep saying records.
Well, I see your stuff. I mean, because you'll tag me on the posts
Yeah,
and things
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And the deep tracks and all the rest of that stuff and the electronica. I mean, you really.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's promotion. I have to.
I show you on my stories all the time.
You have to promote. It's not like when you had records, you went to a record store and you bought stuff. No, you're promoting. The good thing about social media, there's a lot of bad things, but the good thing about it that I take it for is one click, and I have this thing in 25 countries all over the world. But it's getting it to the right people and having them play it. And what happens is people become, in this business, their noses go up in the air and they won't play anything else but their own stuff. I was never like that. I always do. And you play other people's stuff. And you kind of feel it out, who's going to play your stuff. And I have a lot of friends in this business now who I can depend on to do stuff, and we help each other out no matter how high they are or how low you are in the totem pole. And the DJ gigs has been hard because COVID, once everything started to get back on track, all the promoters that started to promote again once everything opened up, they had all of those people that they had booked before COVID, they had to fulfill those bookings. So you're looking at probably a year's worth of bookings that these people had to go switch through. Yeah. And now it's starting to pick up a little bit. I have to go to Edinburgh in Scotland in May, which is it's a huge reunion rave. There's going to be like...
Hang on. You know what's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
You know it.
Scotland, really? I've been there a bunch of times.
I would do Scotland. No, Scotland's fun. So I have a bucket list, and I want to go to a rave again, even though I know they're not called raves and they're called festivals, because you always enlighten me on the new modern thing.
Yeah, they're festivals.
But it's on my bucket list, and my husband won't let me go with anybody else to something like that. Unless it's you. You're the only person that Steve's like, yeah, okay, whatever, you can go, Ralphie, do whatever you want. Ralphie's,
And there's the whole thing.
I want to go now.
Well, see, that's the whole thing. See,
I'm retiring in June.
Going with someone that is playing and being behind the scenes is a total different thing because, there are times like when I went to Ibiza, I wasn't playing, but I was with people that were behind the scenes, that were, we were VIP the whole way. And now, if I ain't playing, I ain't going. But Ibiza was a different thing. I never really liked being in the crowd. I would always go through a crowd. Every time I would play somewhere, I would try to get there at least an hour before. You want to hear what the guy before you was playing. And, I would walk around a crowd. I wanted to hear what it sounded like and stuff like that. But now it's more of just going in, doing your job, and leaving, depending on where it is. I mean, I went to, I'm not going to say the place last year, and it was good for people that were there, but it wasn't my type of vibe, wasn't my type of people, and I just wanted to play and just go, and that's what I did. Every once in a while it happens, but...
What's your most memorable live gig?
Oh, that's easy. Very easy. Arrow to the brain. 1994, they have a rave in Switzerland called Energy. And it was called, at the time, Energy 94. And it coincides with the Zurich Street Parade. The Zurich Street Parade, it's in July. And picture like the Canyon of Heroes on Broadway when like the Yankees or Mets or somebody will win a world championship and there's a parade like that. The parade goes through the middle of Zurich, and there's all these floats with all these people, and it's all, club people and music and stuff like that. It was. I mean, it's in the culture. Right. It's in the culture. Like here, if you try to do that, you probably get, you have so many different types of people and races and creeds and colors here. It's not like, you go to Switzerland, most people are Swiss or German. There's so many of them, so the culture is bigger. And that happens in the daytime, and in the nighttime, they have the big party. And I headlined this rave. There had to be, it was in a stadium the size of like the Madison Square Garden. I think they said there were like 38,000 people or something like that. And I remember, and I had a record out that was really, really big. It was starting to blow up at the time, and I went on prime time, and I was on this huge scaffolding. And this is the first time I had ever seen mechanical robotic cameras that would zzz, 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 like this. And at first I was like, wow, what is this? And there were people snapping pictures, and it reminded me a little bit of Odyssey during the disco days, because everybody wants your attention while you're trying to play. So turn around, take a picture, you click, and all of a sudden, there's something wrong with this. The guy would come and put his arms around me to change something in there. But you get used to that after a while. But I do remember playing and we call it dropping this track that I did, and hearing all these 38,000, whatever it was, people in unison screaming when this happened. And I got the goosebump kind of faint feeling for a second. It was just a moment that lasted for maybe about 10 seconds. But the euphoria and the just the feeling of everything. And as that was happening, I get a tap on the shoulder, and the guy goes like this behind me. And I'm like, what? And I turn around and look, and there had to be about a 50-foot screen with the camera was like right here, and you can see my paws. That's
my God.
How close it was. And it was the best feeling ever. And when you have that feeling, I've had feelings like that, but never to that degree.
Wow.
You always want, it's like a drug addict. I hate to bring up bad things, but you always try to get that feeling again. And I know in my life, that was the pinnacle. And right now, for anybody to go and think they're going to redo that again and have that pinnacle again, I mean, anything can happen. But you got to remember, it was at the right time, it was at the right place, whatever age I was, the track that was out, the weather, the people, so many things had to come and line up for that. But that was the biggest thing in my life that I would never forget.
And you'll remember every detail forever.
Never forget. Yeah. There's pictures. There's a video of it that they sold. I still have that. And everything I did was, a lot of it was documented. I have all my tapes from the early KTU days of them saying my name. I saved every flyer I have. I'm a memorabilia person. So anybody ever says, what did you do with your life? I just, look, and it's all, and I'm in the midst of actually painting where I am now, and I got some platinum records and some gold records that were issued to me a long time ago that got destroyed.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to get them all done. I have about 25 or 26 gold and platinum records that were all, and I had them in a storage place, and they all got destroyed. And I think I got maybe 3 that I got to do, but they're expensive. The companies are all out of business, not going to do it. So, but the thing is, what they do is they look. The company that does them for me is the company that does all the RIA, Recording Industry Association of America. It's got to have the plaque, a real plaque on it, and they look, and what they realize is now I have carte blanche on them. I said, listen, I need this. I just got to provide the artwork.
Right.
And that's it. So, everything's documented, and I'm blessed. I mean, could I have been more blessed? Yes. Could I have had a better time? Yes. Could I have been smarter? Yes.
But I don't know if you would be the same person.
No, I think
you're kind of perfect now.
I think I would be, but again, you're right. You never know, because again, maybe, I never obtained wealth during that time. It wasn't about the money. I mean, when I was flying around in the 90s, I could have made so much more money, but I was still hungry and all that. Now, there are guys that get more money than people make in 5 years to play for 2 hours. It is absolutely mind-boggling, and it's so commercial, and it's so over the top. And it's like, would I like to have that again? Yeah, probably. But, when you're young, obviously it's when
Well,
you're single.
listen, you're no slouch. You've done very well in life. 'Cause
Yeah,
I know
I'm
you
not going to
personally.
complain. I'm
You-
not going to
you've
complain.
got,
But I'm not,
you've got a good
done.
life.
I'm definitely not done.
You better not be done.
No.
Because I
Definitely not.
retire at the end of June. So there better be another rave in your bookings.
Yeah, there
because
will be.
I need to
I'm
go.
sure there will be. Absolutely.
And also, I think that we need to go, the best thing about being in the environment and in this is that you go support your other friends. So we need to also go on a road trip, and we need to go visit Victor in Italy and go
Yeah.
see Victor. And then we also need to go and see Lenny when he's at like Tenafly or something, because he's on the road all the time
Those
too.
are the best things. I would do those 3-city gigs. I would stay in Europe in the 90s. My friend Hans, rest in peace, lived right in the center of Amsterdam.
Well, you used to go there a lot. I used
that
to
was
be in
my second
Brussels all
home.
the time.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
walk out of the house and walk to maybe the parking lot, and that's where Central Station was. So to go from Amsterdam to go anywhere
Yeah.
is
Puddle
easy.
hopper.
Yeah, exactly. So that was fun because back then, back and forth to try the Atlantic, the flights back and forth. Now, so I said, what? Stay in Amsterdam for 2 weeks. I would get there like on a Monday, do a local gig on a Wednesday and a Thursday, Friday, do something, and then Friday night drive to Paris or fly to Paris, play in Paris, and then from Paris go to Switzerland. These are all we used to
Germany,
drive.
you used to do Germany too, yeah.
They used to drive us at the time, but again, I used to like to fly, which was a lot easier. There were times when I don't like small planes, so I'd have to take these. Would have to take a train. I remember taking a train from Paris to go to Austria, to go, not Vienna, to go to oh God, I can't remember the city. Not Vienna.
Innsbruck?
Salzburg.
Okay.
Salzburg in Austria, and there was no plane. No, there was a small plane to do it. I'm like, I don't do small planes. I mean, 737 is the smallest for me. That's it.
Yeah.
But these are like, 1 seat, 2 seat, little aisle, 2 seats. That's it. And no, I can't do that. So I took a train from Paris to Salzburg. First class train. I mean, it was nice. I liked it. It wasn't bad. But again, just being able to stay in Europe, like you were mentioning, Lenny and Victor and stuff, to go. That's the best way to do it now because, unless you've got a lot of frequent flyer mileage, you want to take the expense of the transatlantic flight out of the budget because you're going to spend in a decent season. It's going to cost you between $900 and $1,100. You like to put that money in your pocket. Sure. So if you have frequent flyer mileage, you do it. But most of the time, it's like, okay, I'm going to do a tour. I'm going to start in England, stay in England on a Friday, Saturday, stay in England Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, work in the studio with these guys that do mixes for me. And then on a Thursday, fly to Amsterdam and play somewhere. And maybe no more than like 2 or 3 weeks, but it's
then you better grow this whole Scotland
yes,
tour.
it takes, yes.
You're going to have to grow this to a couple more things.
It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of, it's all about the music that you put out, and it's all about the relationships that you have. And there's no age limit to this. There's another thing, there's no age limit. There are DJ Jellybean is 65. Frankie Knuckles,
I can't picture that. Yeah.
would have been 67. David Morales, 62. Me, I'm in my mid-60s too. I'm getting there, but it's not like, well, you're too old to it. Listen, we were doing this. I tell a lot of these people, they don't understand. If you look at my internet posts, I always write, know your history. And it's really important because a lot of people that got into this game later on, if you don't know, if you're doing something, you want to know as much about it as you need to. So you need to look who was there before you and who did these things before you to get an idea of where the music comes from, how it came, who did it, and all of that stuff. And it's part of it is, it's a little bit of music studying that you have to do. And a lot of people, I noticed that there are some young people that are good, that do recognize stuff and do remember, that's, I was 14 when this came out or whatever, but they remember, and there's no better way to be, being noticed for something, and that happens a lot. And especially in the UK, you go to England or you go to Amsterdam or anywhere in Europe, I've actually been to places where people have brought records that I've done 25 years ago with a magic marker to sign them. I mean, I look and sometimes I say to myself, I can't believe I'm doing this, but it's in the culture. And it happened in LA not till last year too. I went to LA to go play, and these like 4 or 5 people, and they seemed to have records in their hands. I didn't know about. I said maybe they bought records in the shop somewhere, and they came over to me and Lenny, and they asked us to sign these records that we did. It took pictures and all of that. So I'm like, wow,
that's amazing.
How cool is that, man?
That's cool.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one place that you have not traveled to go play, where would that be? Where would you like to just do a complete?
That's a good one. That's really good. I was supposed to go to Australia, and never got there because there was a typhoon. I was supposed to play in the south of Thailand and then fly to Australia. That was in like the mid-90s. I never got to go there. So I would like to go there. I would love to do Greece. I've never been to Greece.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Ibiza, that's off the list. I've been there now. There's probably places I don't even know about yet that
What's the difference with the audience? And possibly the audience participation and things like that when you play in places like, if you're going to play in Thailand versus you're playing in Amsterdam, is there a different vibe in how does that work?
The difference of the countries in Europe are basically all the people are the same. I sort of compare it to people who are baseball fans. There are baseball fans. And then there are people who watch baseball. I've gone to baseball games in Boston. And Boston, the fans in Boston know the game. They're a fan of the game. In these places that you play in Europe and wherever they are, as far as, there's some that are different than others, but the DJ booths are always, most of the time, set up in the front, and they watch everything. My hand goes like this. There's a person that's going like this, and you pick the headphone, and they'll look at, and at first I was intimidated by it, because we came from, DJ booths being in the rafters and all these places, and they watch everything. They know their music. You make a mistake, you start doing that with mixes. Sometimes people whistle.
Really?
Yeah. You got to be on your toes, and you
got to be on your A game.
Yeah, you got to be on your A game. Plus, when you're playing with other DJs from other countries, you want to be on your A game, and you got to remember, you're walking into places cold. I remember having to come into a club, never been there before. Never stepped foot in the DJ booth, never heard what it's going to sound like on a headphone. All of a sudden, I'm there for like an hour or whatever, but then all of a sudden the DJ pulls the headphone out, and now it's your turn. You're going to put your headphone in, and at the time it was records. Put a record on, and you got to do like maybe 1-2 mixes tops. And out of those 2 mixes, you better figure out that sound, because if you don't, you're either going to look stupid, or if the longer it takes for you to do it, you want to do obviously the best that you can. There's no winging it. You can't wing it. And even today, there's a lot of people that do that don't really play anymore. There are people that do mimic sets. They just throw a USB thing in there and they play, and they make believe that they're playing.
Really?
And that's I've frowned upon that, because it's like you're kind of cheating. It's like you're a dummy. You're just standing there doing it, make believe. But then on the other hand, I've also know somebody, a couple people who do that now, and their reason for doing it is what I had just said before.
So it's always perfect?
Yes, because, they come walking into a situation on a stage, there's thousands of people, you got to put a USB stick and you got to be on. So what they do is, this way they don't have to worry about that. They could fake the whole show and everything's going to be on. So in that way, I'm like,
so you're giving the crowd what they paid for it and what they want,
yes,
without ever disappointing them.
Yes, you are. But you know what? Again, I can understand somebody doing that, but there's nothing worse as a DJ to see another DJ do that. Right. Just to me, it's like, listen, you could play whatever you want, but to me, it's like, it's kind of cheating. But again, I kind of get both ways. Just like they have a thing called a sync button digitally now. you can play, have a record, I still call it a record, a track, so to speak, going on one thing, and then you got the next track going. They have a sync button where you lock the sync and you let the track go, and only thing you got to do is mix it together. You could go have coffee and talk to somebody, and it's gonna stay. And a lot of people frown upon that because you're not being creative enough. We come from an era of playing vinyl, playing records with real drummers. That was hard. That's why I say, listen, you think you're a DJ? You want to be a DJ? I'll tell you what. Here's 2 turntables. Here's records. Let me see what you could do. And a lot of them are going to go, oh, I can't. How the hell did you do that? No one when the record's going to speed up.
Do you still have your first set of turntables?
Not my first set, but I still have my turntables. Yes, absolutely. I have all my records, any records that were of substance I kept. All the kind of garbage and stuff I threw away, but I have all of my records. I never threw any of that away. The turntables I actually just...
Still have your original mixer?
No. That was all analog stuff. It's all... I have like a controller. You see, when I play in pastels, it's a controller. That's what I use when I play out. And I have another mixer which mimics what I would see when I was playing on the road. With the USB sticks in them. They're Pioneers. It's different, but all the old analog stuff in there.
No. I mean, because I know things have changed and everything, but there seems to be a thing with DJs that they fall in love with their first thing that really, and they're like, they can't get rid of it. It's like, no, I've got this.
Oh, to have it, yeah. You know what?
To keep it and cherish it for the experience.
Oof, you know what? I've had so many.
I think Tommy Musto was talking about it.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people that have kept pieces of gear over time, but it all depends on how you got into the business and at what time you got into the business. When I first got in, there were a certain type of there were always Techniques turntables, but I have a certain type of Techniques turntable from the beginning that I liked, and there were these rotary mixers called Bozaks, and today they're rotary. It's different. The technology today and the mixing of today is all slides up and down and EQs. Bozaks back then, people weren't tech savvy as they are today. But like Lenny Fontaine still has a Bozak in the studio. He's got a pair of old 1100 turntables in the studio, and every once in a while he'll play them when he's doing like a set for.
He's such a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He really is such a nice guy. Oh my goodness. What's your favorite song? I can't believe this is almost over. Oh my goodness.
Is it?
See, that's why you have to come back often.
What's my favorite song?
What's your favorite song?
Oh man.
I want to know what your favorite song is.
Oh God,
I know what your least favorite song is.
Oh yeah. There's a few you would definitely know. But
no, Caribbean Queen.
You know what? It doesn't really bother me now. At the time, it did because every 5 seconds. But it's very hard for me to come up with a favorite song because my whole life is based around music. I can tell you where I was by hearing a song, and I would know, get the year, what I was doing, and all of this stuff. So you got to remember, I'm getting brought up in AM radio, Beatles when I was a little kid, then all the 60s stuff, all the Young Rascals and all the Motown and all of that stuff, then going to the early 70s with all the R&B stuff and all of that, into the disco, into the new wave. So there's so many genres of music, and even the stuff that my parents would listen to, like all the 50s, the doo-wop stuff. I love all of that stuff. So to give you a favorite song,
I think we're going to just have to leave it on that. And you're going to have to come back. You're going to think about it. I want to know what your favorite song is when you come back next time.
Favorites?
Yes.
In whatever. Is it the disco era? Is it
any song?
Oh, that's the whole thing.
See, that's why you have to come back.
I can't.
I'm not letting you off the hook on this.
Okay,
Listen,
I remember that.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your beautiful life experience. Thank you for being my brother and my friend. And I love you, and I want to thank everybody for watching the show. And if you have an idea, if you want to be a guest, email me. I'd love to listen more about it, and I appreciate it. Thanks for watching Warehouse 34 over here at CTV.